If you've ever scrolled through eBay at 3 a.m., you know it can feel like wandering through a digital flea market run by pranksters, collectors, and the truly bizarre. Sure, you can pick up a used phone or that one rare Lego set, but every once in a while you'll stumble upon something so ridiculous it makes you wonder if humanity collectively lost its mind. And yet, some people buy this stuff. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are the 25 most ridiculous things sold on eBay. But before we begin, I say it always, but it truly helps the channel if you guys could like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. Like I said, really helps us out. With that being said, let's go shopping. But before we get started, today's video is brought to you by Fume Zero. Zero is where everything begins. You've got 0 miles on the clock when you first get in your car, 0 days when you start a new job, 0 subscribers when you launch a new channel. It's the starting point. And that's exactly what this little device is all about. This is Fume Zero, the all-new flavored air device, and it's built so anyone can pick it up and go. Now, I've used the original Fume a lot, but Zero really is the easy button, and they named it well. It doesn't have any vapor, no nicotine, nothing to charge or refill. You just pick a flavor and you're good to go. I grabbed Spearmint Ice this round. It's kind of an editing flavor, if that's even a thing, and it's really smooth. But I've got an orange vanilla lined up for next week. They each last more than a week, which surprised me for something of this size. And it even comes with a habit tracker so you can know when it's time for a new one. What I like most is how casual it feels. It's light. It clicks. Very slightly, but it still does. And it keeps your hands busy. It doesn't feel like a gadget you gotta babysit. I've pulled it out at my desk, in the car, even on a walk, and nobody gives me the side eye. Which is rare for me, by the way. Because it's not a vape, it's flavored air. That click? Yeah, I could sit here doing this all day. And it serves a purpose. You have open, half open, and closed, so. But you can even try crisp mint, peach blush, raspberry, or mango if spearmint or orange vanilla aren't your thing. Over 500,000 people are already using Fume, and Zero is the easiest way to join them. If you've been waiting for the right moment, this could be your day zero. Just scan the QR code on your screen now or head to tryfume.com/products/Fume0 to check it out. Now, back to the list. 25. The grilled cheese with a holy twist. In 2004, a Florida woman listed a grilled cheese sandwich she swore had the face of the Virgin Mary toasted onto it. The sandwich was 10 years old, preserved in a plastic case, and she claimed it had never molded. Believe it or not, the listing went viral. News outlets covered it, late-night comedians cracked jokes, and curiosity drove the price higher and higher. When the dust finally settled, a casino in Las Vegas, yes, really, forked over $28,000 for it. They figured, why not spend thousands on headlines about buying a holy sandwich? And honestly, it worked. Tourists came to see the relic like it was a sacred object. Forget rare coins or baseball cards, sometimes a half-eaten lunch is all it takes to turn the internet upside down. 24. Justin Timberlake's half-eaten French toast. Justin Timberlake accidentally left behind breakfast in 2000. While appearing on a New York radio show, he didn't finish his French toast. A DJ swiped the leftovers, listed them on eBay, and chaos ensued. NSYNC fans, still riding the boy band wave, battled it out in the bidding war. Eventually, one fan coughed up just over $1,000 for the stale toast. The story still pops up whenever people talk about ridiculous celebrity memorabilia. Imagine explaining that to your kids. Yes, honey, that's not just toast. That's Justin Timberlake's toast. Breakfast will never feel that glamorous again. 23. Britney Spears used gum. Britney Spears was once one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, so naturally people hunted for anything remotely connected to her. One lucky, or unlucky depending on your perspective, fan picked up her discarded chewing gum after she spit it out during an event. They listed it on eBay with undeniable proof. Well, proof in the loosest sense, that Britney's DNA was inside. The bids didn't stop. People were willing to shell out thousands just to own something previously inside Britney Spears' mouth. It's both hilarious and disturbing if you think about it for too long. The gum didn't sing, dance, or headline a Vegas residency, but to collectors, it was apparently worth a small fortune. 22. The Dorito Pope's Hat. Food shaped like things it shouldn't be seems to thrive on eBay. Take the Dorito that went viral for looking exactly like the Pope's mitre, the tall pointy hat he wears. The seller wasn't even trying to be funny. They legitimately thought someone out there would see the humor and value in a corn chip with a holy resemblance. Turns out, they were right. Bidding shot up quickly, and the chip eventually sold for $1,209. Now, most of us would probably eat the Dorito without second thought, but someone saw a relic. Hopefully the buyer didn't get drunk during a party and accidentally eat their sacred investment. Imagine being the person who drops $1,000 on a snack and then loses it to salsa dip. Who puts Doritos in salsa? Well, that's divine comedy right there. 21. Ghost in a jar. In the early 2000s, a seller claimed they had trapped a ghost in a glass jar. According to the story, it had been haunting them, and they wanted it gone. They warned potential buyers not to open the jar unless they were ready to face the consequences. Was it a clever horror gag? Absolutely. Did it work? Also absolutely. The listing blew up, attracting worldwide attention and bids climbing as high as $55,000 before eBay shut it down for violating policies. For a while, though, people were genuinely fighting over a jar of nothing. Or maybe not nothing. I mean, who knows what was inside? Dust, air, or a grumpy phantom taking an unplanned vacation. Either way, it's proof that ghost stories can be monetized if you got enough creativity and a decent internet connection. 20. A man's entire life. Sometimes people don't just sell things. They sell themselves. Well, not literally, but close. Ian Usher, a man from Australia, went through a rough divorce and decided to auction off his entire life. His job, his car, his house, and even introductions to his friends were all included. The winning bid came in at $350,000. Imagine buying not just a used car, but a whole lifestyle package. Of course, living someone else's life isn't as glamorous as it sounds. The new owner didn't exactly step into a Hollywood movie. He just got Ian's stuff and his social circle, who were probably just as confused as everyone else. Still, the stunt got worldwide attention. It wasn't about the money so much as making a statement. Sometimes you really can start fresh by hitting list item on eBay. 19. A whole town. Bridgeville, California, population under 30, was put up for sale in 2002. The tiny place had houses, a post office, and even a cemetery. It sold for around $1.77 million, and then changed hands multiple times afterwards, sometimes on eBay, sometimes privately. The kicker? People weren't just buying land. They were buying the responsibility of maintaining a town. Taxes, infrastructure, local politics, the works. It sounds quirky until you realize you've basically volunteered to be the mayor, landlord, and handyman all at once. Bridgeville became the poster child for things you didn't know could be bought online. It's not like snagging a vintage lamp. It's a literal community with people in it. Imagine explaining that impulse purchase to your accountant. 18. The meaning of life. A seller listed the meaning of life as an auction item. No fancy packaging, no grand philosophy book, just a simple explanation provided to the highest bidder. For a whopping $3.26, someone bought enlightenment. Was it profound wisdom? Was it a joke scribbled on a napkin? No one really knows, but that's part of the beauty. eBay allowed someone to monetize humanity's greatest philosophical question in the cheekiest way possible. For less than the price of a latte, a buyer got to brag that they own the answer to existence. Spoiler, it probably wasn't 42, though I bet the seller considered it. 17. New Zealand. Almost. In 2006, a cheeky Australian decided to list the entire country of New Zealand for sale on eBay. They described it in glowing terms, highlighting its natural beauty, sheep population, and rugby skills. At first, it was just a joke. But then people started bidding. The auction climbed to $3,000 before eBay stepped in and shut it down, citing obvious rules about, not selling sovereign nations. The New Zealand government took it in stride, laughing off the prank, though I imagine a few officials weren't thrilled. Still, the fact that someone even thought of it shows how wild eBay culture had become. People were treating the platform less like a store and more like a stage for worldwide comedy. A country, though? That's commitment to the bit. 16. A cornflake shaped like Illinois. If you've ever poured a bowl of cereal and spotted the funny shape, chances are you just ate it and moved on. Not these folks. In 2008, two sisters discovered a cornflake that looked eerily like the state of Illinois. Instead of munching on it, they listed it on eBay. The quirky story caught fire online, and soon enough, bidding skyrocketed. The final price? $1,350. Yes, someone paid more than $1,000 for a single piece of cereal. The sisters claim they kept the flake safely in a protective case, though I can't help but picture it crumbling into dust in some poor buyer's hand. As if that wasn't weird enough, the sale inspired other state-shaped foods to hit eBay, from Virginia-shaped cornflakes to nuggets resembling Texas. 15. The Virginia Cornflake. Hot on the heels of the Illinois cornflake craze, another seller decided to try their luck with a Virginia-shaped one. Though it didn't quite reach the same viral fame, it still managed to attract buyers and sell for a surprising price. Apparently, eBay was briefly the stock exchange for oddly shaped breakfast cereal. Collectors claim they were drawn to the novelty, but let's be real. Most of these flakes were just excuses for internet jokes. The Illinois one got headlines, but the Virginia cornflake proved it wasn't a one-time fluke. Imagine explaining to your friends that your prized possession isn't a diamond or a car or even a signed jersey. It's a fragile piece of corn that happens to look like a state. Breakfast foods on eBay had their 15 minutes of fame, and honestly, it was hilarious. 14. George Washington Chicken McNugget. Chicken McNuggets don't usually make history, but one did. A woman in Nebraska discovered a nugget shaped vaguely like George Washington's face. Instead of eating it, she froze it for 3 years before finally listing it on eBay. To her surprise, the listing exploded. People found the story charming, and the nugget's resemblance, admittedly a stretch, to the first US president was enough to spark a bidding war. The final price? $8,100. That's a lot of money for something that could easily be mistaken for freezer burn. The best part, the woman donated the money to her church's youth group. Somewhere, George Washington is probably shaking his head, but maybe also proud that his nugget doppelganger could still lead the people. 13. Justin Bieber's hair. When Justin Bieber cut his iconic swoopy hair in 2011, fans mourned like it was the end of an era. But luckily for them, talk show host Ellen DeGeneres snagged a lock of it and decided to auction it on eBay for charity. The hair came in a signed box, with Bieber himself confirming its authenticity. The bidding frenzy went wild, finally closing at $40,668. The money went to an animal rescue foundation, proving that not all ridiculous auctions are just for laughs. Still, the idea of a few strands of hair could fetch the price of a luxury car is mind-boggling. Somewhere there's probably a Bieber hair conspiracy theory. 12. Air from a Kanye West concert. Someone once listed a Ziploc bag supposedly containing air from a Kanye West concert. The listing photo showed them holding the bag above the crowd, capturing the essence of Yeezy. Absurd? Completely. But the internet loved it, and bids climbed to over $65,000 before eBay shut it down. Of course, it was probably just regular air, unless Kanye himself blessed it mid-breath. But the sheer idea of bottling atmosphere and selling it as memorabilia is peak internet. It's one of those sales that makes you laugh first and then realize, yeah, somebody actually tried to pay that much. Whether it was satire or serious fandom, we'll never know. But the next time you go to a concert, maybe bring some extra bags. 11. The potato chip Pope's hat. Apparently snack foods with holy vibes are irresistible. After the Dorito incident, someone else listed a potato chip shaped like the Pope's hat. Just like the cornflakes craze, this chip drew attention for its uncanny resemblance. The seller hyped it as a divine discovery. Sure enough, bidders lined up. Now the price didn't reach Dorito levels, but it proved the market for religiously themed snacks wasn't just a one-off. Something about the combo of junk food and sacred symbolism makes people open their wallets. Maybe it's the novelty, Maybe it's faith. Maybe it's just wanting to own a conversation piece. Either way, we can confidently say snack food has a special place in eBay's Hall of Fame. Forget Vatican art. Chips and Doritos are apparently the true relics of modern times. 10. The haunted rubber duck. According to the description, the duck terrorized their child by mysteriously moving around and causing nightmares. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the story was compelling enough to attract a flurry of bids. The duck sold for $107.50, which is way more than the average bath toy is worth. Did the buyer ever experience strange happenings, or was it just an overpriced squeaky duck? We'll never know. What we do know is that haunted items always seem to capture imaginations and wallets. It's almost like the risk of buying a cursed object is part of the fun. Imagine putting that on your bathroom shelf. The duck that might just stare back at you when the lights go out. 9. Billy Beer. Back in the 70s, President Carter's brother, Billy, launched his own beer brand, Billy Beer. It flopped hard. Decades later, people started selling unopened cans on eBay, hyping them as rare collectibles. The truth? They were pretty much worthless. Millions had been made and plenty survived. Still, nostalgia and novelty carried the day, and cans sold for hundreds of dollars apiece. Collectors probably hoped the value would skyrocket someday, but it never did. In reality, they were just buying mediocre beer in aluminum. Yet, the idea that failed merchandise could find a second life online speaks volumes about eBay culture. It's less about value and more about the story behind the object. Owning a can of Billy Beer is like owning a piece of history. Just a really, really awkward one. 8. The Hollywood sign. Not the current Hollywood sign, but the original from 1923. The iconic landmark was replaced, and someone decided to put the old letters up for auction in 2005. The price tag? $450,400. For that, you got giant weathered pieces of Los Angeles history. The letters were massive, rusted, and practically impossible to display in a normal living room. But to collectors, it was a dream item. The sale blurred the line between historic preservation and kitschy souvenirs. It's both absurd and kind of amazing that one of the most recognizable symbols in the world ended up on eBay. It makes you wonder what other icons will someday wind up in someone's garage. 7. Advertising space on someone's forehead. People get creative when they're broke. One man decided to auction ad space on his own forehead. The deal? The winning bidder's logo would be tattooed onto his skin permanently. The stunt shocked people, but it worked. Companies jumped at the chance for viral attention, and bids soared. Eventually, he did get a tattoo for a paying client, essentially turning his face into a billboard. It's both ridiculous and oddly practical, a mix of desperation and marketing genius. Imagine walking to a job interview with a corporate logo stamped across your brow. It says something about internet culture. The lines between personal identity and commerce can blur in jaw-dropping ways. It also says something about eBay. It's not just about selling things, but about selling yourself. Sometimes literally, in ink. 6. The human kidney scandal. In 1999, someone listed a human kidney on eBay. Bidding shot up to $5.7 million before the auction was pulled. Selling organs is illegal, obviously, and eBay quickly shut it down. But the fact that people were actually bidding shows how wild the early internet could get. Was it real? Was it a prank? Nobody knows for sure. What's certain is that it became one of the most infamous eBay moments ever. It highlighted the need for stricter rules and made people realize just how far sellers would go in order to make a buck. These days, listings like that wouldn't last more than a few seconds, but back then, for a brief, insane moment, someone almost sold a piece of themselves for millions online. 5. A human liver. Not long after the kidney fiasco, someone decided to up the ante and list a human liver. Unsurprisingly, the auction took off, gathering attention for all the wrong reasons. Bids started stacking, and before long, it was racking up numbers. Of course, eBay quickly pulled it down. Selling body parts isn't just unethical, it is flat out illegal. Whether it was a real organ or some twisted prank is still unclear, but the buzz it generated was undeniable. For a short time, thousands of people sat at their computers watching a human liver being treated like a collector's toy. It wasn't the first bizarre organ listing, nor would it be the last. But it cemented the fact that on eBay, sellers weren't afraid to test the boundaries of what was even possible to auction. 4. A man's soul. There's tongue-in-cheek, and then there's I'll sell you my soul. Several sellers have tried this stunt over the years, posting listings offering their immortal essence to the highest bidder. Descriptions ranged from dramatic to sarcastic, some even claiming the soul came with lifetime warranties. Bidders actually got involved, curious to see how far the joke would go. Predictably, eBay shut these down fast. Souls, after all, are a little tricky to verify. Still, it was entertaining proof of how far sellers would stretch to grab attention. The soul auctions became part of eBay legend, symbolic of that early Wild West internet energy when people pushed every boundary just to see what would stick. It might not have brought eternal damnation, but it did bring a few laughs and a healthy dose of side-eye from buyers. 3. Jar of farts. This one is exactly what it sounds like. A person literally farted into a jar, sealed it, and put it on eBay. At first, it seemed like a ridiculous gag, but then bids started rolling in. Some jars actually sold, with buyers proudly claiming ownership of bottled essence. Whether anyone opened them is a mystery best left unsolved. It's hard to say what's funnier, the fact that someone thought to sell it, or that others thought it was worth buying. Either way, it fits perfectly into the Hall of Fame for bizarre eBay moments. On a platform built for collectibles and antiques, jars of farts somehow found a place at the table. It's crude, it's childish, and it's hilarious. Because nothing screams internet culture more than someone monetizing bathroom humor. 2. Elvis Presley's hair. Elvis left the building decades ago. His legend, and apparently his hair, lives on. Over the years, several sellers have claimed to own clippings from Elvis's iconic pompadour, allegedly taken by his barber. These tufts of hair have fetched thousands on eBay, turning strands into prized collectibles. The logic is simple. Elvis wasn't just a singer. He was the king, and anything physically connected to him carried value. Of course, authenticity was always a question. Was it really Elvis's hair, or just some dude's trim from Supercuts? Buyers seemed to be willing to take the gamble. Hair auctions became a part of a bigger trend where celebrity body parts, locks, nails, even chewed gum, became the ultimate memorabilia. In Elvis's case, people weren't just buying hair, they were buying a piece of rock and roll mythology. Thank you very much. 1. A single Christmas Brussels sprout. Closing out the list, I've got one of the strangest food items ever sold. A single, lonely Brussels sprout left over from Christmas dinner. A British seller listed it as a joke, describing it with tongue-in-cheek seriousness. And to everyone's surprise, people started bidding. The final price? About £155, roughly $200, for one Brussels sprout. It wasn't golden, it wasn't diamond-studded, it wasn't even blessed by Santa. It was just a soggy vegetable. Yet, in the context of post-holiday silliness and eBay's reputation for weirdness, it made perfect sense. The sprout joined the ranks of cornflakes, nuggets, and chips as proof that people will buy literally anything if the story is funny enough. It's small, it's green, and it's a perfect symbol of eBay's bizarre sense of humor. And now, here's some bonus trivia for you. Did you know the first item ever sold on eBay was a broken laser pointer that sold for $14.83? And that's it for today. But there are some con artists that have done some scams and have made them famous. So if you want more of that, check that out here. And as always, like I said, like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys next time. And once again, a big shout out to Fume for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check it out.